Radical. Alright, here we go. Part 2 of my quest to get a couple Xbox 360s before the weekend. I went to this game store, and right away, I was shocked and surprised at how big the store was on the inside. Didn't look that big from the outside, but I was just blown away by the collection of everything they had and how neat the setup was. They had a bunch of Funko Pops, which I said, hey, nice Funko Pop collection, but I didn't really care about the Funko Pops. Later on, I would actually go to the left and see a lot of their toys, figures, and whatnot, which again, quite impressive. I went in with the box, and I stated that the only game I had not tested was Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PlayStation 3. And later on, they would get confused and not know that I was trying to, put that in for store credit. And I had GTA 5 resurfaced, the one I got from GameStop. So I said I would like that resurfacing service for $3. And I left the box there for everybody to go through. And I told them, hey, you know what? All those games have been checked. And they usually check them for scratches and whatnot. I said some have some scratches on them, but they are completely playable. Mostly it was 360 games. They looked through it. Then I went around the store looking around. And I was just blown away, like I said, at how big their selection was. I went over to the 360 games, and I started to think maybe I'm charging a little bit too much, because this game store is about maybe, I want to say 15 minutes, maybe about 15 minutes from where I flea market. And I might be charging too much, because I saw they had Halo 4 for maybe $6.99. And then some other games that were more common for under $10. But, I'm not competing directly with them. But I'm sure someone might say, like, oh, I'll just go over here to this store and get it at a cheaper price. To that I can say, well, go ahead and you should go over there. You can tell I'm like a little bit deflated, because it exactly wasn't what I was hoping for. What I was hoping for was about maybe like $5 a game. That's what I was hoping for. This other place usually does about maybe like $5 a game for me. Really does good on the store value. This was not nearly that. The only reason I was there at this store was that the other store that usually I turn games in did not have anything I really needed. And this store, like I said, had an Xbox 360. And the whole reason I'm there is because the shipments are behind at Goodwill. I should right now have about 3 Xbox 360s, but I'm a little bit afraid that I might not get any before the weekend, so this is what I got to do. And I'm still up Schitt's Creek if I sell one of these 360s before the other guy comes that I promised a 362. So, in all honesty, I need a couple of 360s before the weekend. The good news is one that I ordered yesterday. Did I upload that about me at Goodwill and the red Xbox? I'm not sure if I uploaded that. Might not have. But I got one coming before the weekend, so I got this Xbox. But I didn't get what I wanted from the games. I brought in 22 games, and there are 6 remaining from that. Some of the games they didn't want was Battlefield 3. Probably, obviously, there's a ton of Battlefield 3s around for 360. They did not want the first Tomb Raider on Xbox, but weirdly, they wanted Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's interesting, right? I didn't really get that. They did not want Battlefield Hardline loose in a case. But that was the same with the other game store. They just, Battlefield Hardline, I guess that's the one that nobody really wants. And they did not want Jedi Fallen Order. I was kind of shocked at that. They didn't want Jedi Fallen Order? On the PlayStation 4, right? So those games I will re-sticker and I will resell those. The amount that they offered was significantly lower than, maybe it was like GameStop rates, I'm not sure. For 16 games, assorted, mostly 360, they gave me $36 in store credit, not cash. Cash, they said, would have been 20% less. So I was kind of really hard up to get a 360 that day to make sure I had one before the weekend. So I said, whatever, I figure I got literally 60 Xbox games coming in those packages from Goodwill, and I didn't really have a lot invested in a lot of those games, so I was like, whatever, not a big deal. And I saw that they had a lot of movies, DVD collections. they had Voltron steel cases, which I was really shocked at some of the stuff they had. Like, I was really impressed by some of their collections they had. I was like, hey man, damn, got some Voltron up in here. That's some crazy shit right there. I mean, to see that stuff, there were some things I saw in there that you wouldn't really see hardly anywhere else. They had a nice selection of stuff. Fair, reasonable prices too. And maybe that's one reason they didn't offer me a whole lot, because their prices were kind of low. So I thought about going back and actually maybe just picking up a couple games before I left, but no, I'm focused. Whatever prices they have on it, I can get it less in bulk lots on auctions from Goodwill. That's what I kept telling myself. I went out and I said, okay, we got a lot of movies back here. Here's what we'll do. The ones that were comic movies, DC, Marvel, and action and Star Wars, I thought that might work well within this place. So I brought in about maybe 10, 15 movies possibly. They didn't want most of them, but I got $3 a credit, maybe 50 cents a movie, something like that. I didn't mind on the movies because, like I said, I have a ton of movies and I didn't pay a lot for them, but still, not a whole lot. So that brought my total up to almost $40. There's another thing I wanted in there that they didn't have, which was the charge kit for an Xbox 360 controller, because, I wanted one of those because I'm out of the wired controllers, which I usually use for my displays. Otherwise, the cheap batteries I get 8 for $1 at the flea market will drain really quickly with people playing the displays, the 360 displays. So I got the 360. I saw they had 3 black ones. They lied. They had a 4th one. It was a slightly bigger, limited white edition. And I'm kicking myself because I could have got one of these in an auction last night. They look a lot better up close. Or maybe the one in the auction was matte, but this was glossy white. It's part of a limited edition, chrome trim. That one they wanted $134. I didn't really splurge for that one, but still, very nice looking. I went for the cheapest of the Xbox 360s they had, which was $89.99. Came with a 250 gigabyte hard drive. Of course, I'm going to charge $120 for that. If it is one that has the storage that's 4 gigabyte, I might just sell that with the 4 gigabyte and take out the hard drive, and then, have that for another one that I sometimes maybe might get an auction that doesn't have the hard drive. Before I checked out and settled up and everything, I paid about maybe $50 for that 360 when you take away all the things I turned in. I looked around because that was all I had to do. I said, hey, I'll look around at everything while you're adding everything up. And I'm looking at all these figures. And the Dragon Ball Super line of figures, some of them don't look too bad. Frieza looks pretty cool. I didn't really like the Piccolo mold. Didn't like the Piccolo. The Krillin one, have you seen that figure? It's very tall. Krillin looks like maybe 5'8", 5'9". So they really gave him like a couple inches in that sculpt. And for some reason, the Jiren figure, comes with the head of Kale, which is like the female Broly. I didn't understand it. I was going to ask him, I was just so confused, why does this come with the head of Kale? I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. Then I looked over at their other figures, and they had some really cool-looking Transformers, man. I don't care if you collect toys or not. The one toy that's always fucking badass is Transformers, man. It's the one, because that actually, you can transform them. Not to be confused with the transgender Transformer line, which is different. Now, I'm not even going down that road. It's probably a joke I could make there. I'm not sure. Star Wars figures they had. What else? Masters of the Universe. They had this badass looking Skeletor. They had this badass looking Skeletor, but the price, was $60. They also had a Starscream Transformer that was $60. I don't know. I wasn't going to buy any of them, but I was just kind of curious about the prices on some of those figures. And he was putting out some Ninja Turtles figures, Mondo, and then Cowabunga, Michelangelo, and some other ones. They look like resculpts or remolds from the original 80s Playmates line. They look like that. And after I looked at all that, I was ready to settle up. And I made sure, I was like, hey, this comes with the power plug and the controller, right? Just make sure they do things like on the up and up there, and you get home with the power supply and the controller and whatnot. Came with a black controller with gray trim, the power supply, the cables, the cords, and one thing I wanted. You know what I wanted? One thing I asked them if they had and they didn't? The charge cable for the controller. That's what I wanted. Yeah. And I might want one of those personally for my personal Xbox 360, because I ended up selling the gray controller that I had. Was it gray? Yeah. The gray controller that I had that had that on it. They put my console, I had a box there. I didn't think about putting it in the box. They put my console in a black trash bag, it looked like. It wasn't even a trash bag, but a black bag. I was thinking, seriously? You're putting my console in like a grocery bag. Like, oh, okay. Hopefully this won't fall through the bag on my way to the car, you know? I mean, I was about to tell him, like, I could lend you all some cardboard boxes. I can. It's really hard up putting my console in a freaking plastic bag. I don't mind the accessories, but the console itself, you know. So, if you're going into a game store and you're buying a console, here's a tip. Always make sure you bring a box with you if you don't want the bag treatment. But overall, would I go back again? Yeah, I would go back again to check out some stuff. Maybe if it's a last minute thing and I need to pick up a game or something. The prices are very reasonable. Even less, they're less than my prices at the flea market. Would I go back in to exchange some things? Hell fucking no, I would not. I would not.